4 horrifying mythological water creatures. For centuries, legends about sea monsters have haunted communities all over the world. Spirits, enormous brutes, and eerie human-like creatures have been described as mythical sea creatures. Centuries of exploration of uncharted waters have resulted in legends describing frightening, mythical sea creatures who feast on human flesh and terrorize those who live to tell the tale. What are the world's most terrifying sea monsters? Well, we're about to find out in today's video. But before we go on, hit the subscribe button on your screen, and don't forget to turn on post notifications by hitting the tiny bell icon. Stay tuned. First horrifying sea creature we're going to be talking about is the Bunyip. Bunyip, in Australian Aboriginal folklore, is a legendary monster said to inhabit the interior of Australia's reedy swamps and lagoons. The amphibious animal was described as having a round head, an elongated neck, and a body similar to that of an ox, hippopotamus, or manatee. Some accounts described it as having a human figure. The Bunyip was said to make booming or roaring noises, and to devour its human prey, particularly women and children. The belief is most likely based on the rare appearance of fugitive seals far upstream. The monster's alleged cry could be that of the bitter marsh bird. The Bunyip's physical characteristics vary greatly. In his account of a Bunyip, George French Angus may have gathered a description of one water spirit from the Murundi people of the Murray River before 1847, stating it is much dreaded by them. It inhabits the Murray, but they have some difficulty describing it. Its most common form is said to be that of a massive starfish. The next horrifying creature we'll be looking at is Ceto. The primordial sea goddess Ceto is a figure from Greek mythology. She is the offspring of Pontus and Gaia. She is one of the oldest mythological figures and gave birth to numerous hideous offspring, all of whom were fathered by Phorcys, a different child of Gaia and Pontus. She inspired the naming of 65489 Sito, a dwarf planet, and Phorcys, a satellite of Ceto. In ancient Greek manuscripts, Ceto is also referred to as Trienus, which means during 3 years, and Crataeus, which means powerful. Several academics confused her with the goddess of Hecate, also known by the names Crataeus and Trienus. She is one of 3,000 sea nymphs born to Tethys and Oceanus, so don't confuse her with the lesser Oceanid of the same name. She may have gotten her name from the Greek word Ketos, which means sea monster in the old language. Ceto in popular culture. In The Mark of Athena by Rick Riordan, Ceto and Phorcys own an aquarium that hosts presentations by marine monsters and fabled aquatic creatures. Frank Zhang and Percy Jackson, both Poseidon ancestors, are imprisoned by Phorcys. Coach Gleason Hedge, a satyr, kicks Ceto in the head to save them. The sea goddess summons a scolopendra to attack their ship because she is upset with his. The scolopendra were defeated by the ichthyocentaurs who had promised to conquer Ceto and Phorcys. Ceto isn't exactly the most well-known of the Greek goddesses, but is a significant component in Greek mythology. Cerberus. Greek mythology made reference to Cerberus as the terrifying watchman of the underworld. He was typically thought to have 3 heads, although the poet Hesiod, who lived in the 7th century before Christ, claimed he had 50. His back was covered in snake heads, and his tail was shaped like a serpent. The mythical hero Orpheus managed to get past him by enticing him with song, but he devoured anybody who attempted to flee the realm of Hades, the lord of the underworld. Heracles, a Greek hero, undertook the laborious task of bringing Cerberus to the realm of the living. Nevertheless, following his success, he sent the beast back to Hades. The number of heads Cerberus has varies according to descriptions. Cerberus occasionally had 3 heads, but not always. There were multiple, multi-headed relatives of Cerberus. The Lernaean Hydra, a monster with multiple snake heads. Orthrus, a 2-headed dog that guarded the cattle of Geryon. And the Chimera, a creature with 3 heads, a lion, a goat, and a snake, were the other 3 multi-headed monsters that Cerberus was related to. His father was the multiple snake-headed Typhon. Cerberus was also multi-headed, with the occasional iconographic exception, like those close relatives. The history of Cerberus. Some ancient Greek authors made an effort to rationalize certain fantastical elements of Greek mythology, at least as early as the 6th century before Christ, which included various rationalized versions of the Cerberus story. Hecataeus of Miletus provided the earliest such story, which dates from the late 6th century BC. According to his description, Cerberus was actually a giant venomous snake that dwelt on Tainaron and was not a dog at all. The only reason the snake was known as the Hound of Hades was because anyone who was bitten by it died right away. Heracles brought this snake to Eurystheus. Hecataeus' account does not necessarily contradict Homer, because Homer does not depict Cerberus according to the geographer Pausanias, who has preserved for us Hecataeus' version of the story. Further characteristics were added to Cerberus. Cerberus, according to Euripides, had 3 bodies in addition to his 3 heads, and Virgil claimed that he had numerous backs. According to Euphorion, Cerberus had fire-spewing eyes, a 3-tongued mouth, and acute hearing. Hesiod describes Cerberus as eating raw meat. The Fosse Grim. Fosse Grim is a water ghost or troll in Scandinavian folklore, also known as the Grim in Norwegian, or Stromkarlen in Swedish. Fosse Grim performs on the violin, particularly the Hardanger violin. Fosse Grim is sometimes referred to as a Naken in Sweden and has been connected to the water spirit, a mill spirit, or both. It is connected with river streams. The Swedish name Stormkarlen means the water stream man, and notably with cascading streams, a foss in Norwegian, and mill race streams. Scandinavian folklore describes the Fosse as a dreadful water spirit that enticed women and children to drown in lakes and streams with enchanted violin music. He is, however, sometimes portrayed as a kind creature that merely uses his songs to amuse adults and children. According to legend, Fosse Grim even agreed to live with a human who fell in love with him, but he allegedly left after a while since he could not endure being too far from a source of water. Fosse Grim is hailed as a particularly gifted fiddler, since the noises of the forest, wind, and water can be heard playing across his instrument's strings. The music of the Fosse Grim is said to cause tables, benches, cups, and cans, graybeards and grandmothers, blind and lame, even newborns in the cradle, to begin to dance. Fosse Grims can be persuaded to impart their knowledge. According to legend, the Fosse Grim is willing to share his knowledge in exchange for a food gift given in secret on Thursday evenings, such as a white he-goat thrown with its head turned to the north into a waterfall, or smoked mutton stolen from the neighbor's larder. If the supplicant does not offer enough meat, he will only show him how to tune the fiddle. However, if the offering is adequate, he will take the pupil's right hand and draw the fingers over the strings until they all bleed, after which he will be able to play so beautifully that the trees shall dance and torrents in their fall stop still. The sea is inhabited by numerous dreadful and hazardous animals in Greek mythology. These legendary creatures, which included the deadly Scylla and Charybdis, the alluring but perilous sirens, the multi-headed Hydra, and the enormous sea monster Cetus, terrified sailors and intrepid travelers who braved the perilous seas of antiquity. Despite their terrifying reputations, these creatures also symbolize the unpredictable and frequently hazardous character of the sea itself, as well as the difficulties that mortals had to face in order to survive and flourish in the face of such threats. And this brings us to the end of our video today. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more awesome content. Until next time.